I mean, so this is going to go. It
All
has a
right.
little, it is,
I think we're live.
and welcome back to the Crypto Hawk program. This is Crypto Hawk. We got Caleb Brown here today, and I want you guys to check out something. Since the last time, since the last time Jim was here, Caleb Brown was here. They made a partnership. I want to talk about it a little bit. I'll let Jim start off the show with this. I want to discuss a little bit what is this new partnership, and in 6 months to a year, let's say, how can we look at like what is this partnership going to do? Jim, go ahead.
Yeah, perfect. Well, look, thanks for having me back on, Hulk, and good to be back for another session with everyone. Yeah, some really exciting news. We've partnered with Ripple Payments. I'm sure everyone in this call has seen the announcement. It's something that we've actually been doing in the back end with them now for the best part of, I'd probably say, 6 or 7 months. Just didn't really go live with the announcement until last week. We just wanted to see how everything worked in the back end. And to be honest, things have been working really great, and our clients have been experiencing a lot of benefits when it comes to getting their withdrawals off more quickly. So I'll explain a little bit about what the partnership is today. And then, as Hulk said, look, it's something that we're constantly in discussion with Ripple around what else we could potentially use their services for. They're pretty eager to use us and build solutions for us and our clients because they can see, just how many clients that we have that love the XRP ledger, are really big proponents of the asset. And so clearly there's a lot of synergy between the two businesses. And so essentially what the update and partnership has entailed so far is it's helped streamline our withdrawal process for clients. As you can imagine, we have a lot of clients moving in and out of positions, looking to on ramp with us and buy crypto, but a lot of the time people are selling out of their positions and want to off ramp back to their bank account. And effectively, Ripple have built us a solution that isn't on chain, but has actually helped a lot of people get off chain. And so we've effectively been able to 2 times or even 3 times our processing power in terms of how quickly we do withdrawals on the back end to ensure that when clients are ready to exit and actually want to withdraw, say, they sell their XRP into US dollars and then want to withdraw that back to their bank account, that process is a lot quicker. And it's actually more cost effective for us in the back end, but more importantly for our clients, it's a lot quicker and a lot more seamless. And so we've been having that in place now for, as I mentioned, the last sort of 5 or 6 months. And it's created a far more seamless process for clients when it comes to withdrawals. Now, that's very specific to US bank accounts and US withdrawals. But look, we're looking to build out a whole range of product suites, and Ripple are pretty eager to work with us on those solutions. And so I can't really speak towards any other potential products we may come out with Ripple. But like any partnership, we wanted to start with one clear use case that made a lot of sense and has worked really well. For us, it's worked commercially well for them as well. And so now that we're starting to build that relationship with Ripple, we're starting to explore other opportunities that may be more beneficial for our clients moving forward. So yeah, really awesome partnership. I think it emphasizes our legitimacy within this space, even though, we've been a strong reputation business for a while. Being able to work with a really large player like Ripple has been great for us and hopefully propels us forward into the future.
Now, has anyone at Caleb Brown went over to like Ripple headquarters, or was this all done over the phone and stuff?
Yeah, so we had actually a fair few of our team for Token 2049 last year go to the Ripple office there. I heard it was one of the more impressive offices they've ever seen. It was a nice building there. But I've also personally, along with our head of ops, we met with their APAC leader. He came to our office here in Melbourne. They like to travel, as you can imagine. They've got partnerships and business they're trying to win globally. And so we met with them. So yeah, I've met the Ripple team in person, but also, our head of ops has done a lot with them online. To be honest, I haven't done as much with them because it's more on the operation side in terms of getting the stuff built internally. But I've met the guys over there as well. And as I said, we're very big fans of what they've built. And I think there's a lot of synergy around what our clients want and what they love and what we're trying to build as well.
Wow, that's awesome. Anybody meet Brad Garlinghouse?
No, no, no. I mean, I saw him speak at Vegas not too long ago. And actually, no, you know what? Our CCO Jake, he always speaks at those events, and he actually met him not at this event this year, but last year. There's a photo of our CCO Jake, who I know Hulk's met.
Yeah.
So yeah, technically, someone at Caleb Brown has met Brad, and the cool thing about it was he knew about Caleb and Brown. He knew what we were, and that's always nice to hear that as well.
Well, if that's okay. That that's very interesting. I can't wait to see over the next bit of time. So as Ripple creates all different kinds of options, you guys can probably maybe take part in certain things. I don't know. I mean, obviously, you're not going to be able to discuss really anything until it happens. But I mean, Ripple comes out with stablecoin. I mean, and stablecoin payments. I don't know, like the whole, like whatever Ripple comes out with, you guys are going to have all the software to be able to plug into anything, right?
Yeah, and it's also just the partnership and the relationship, right? Like if something comes out that they've built that we are very interested in and think it'll be a big value add and benefit for our clients, it's not like, we're cold calling, trying to reach out to someone at Ripple. We actually have a relationship with them now, which is great. Look, to be honest, all the things that they've built, we've needed to incorporate within our business because so many of our clients want to use it. As an example, you mentioned stablecoins, like RLUSD. We're probably one of the first providers of RUSD when it first hit the market sometime last year or even the year before. But yeah, absolutely. Look, they're in every area of finance now, from payments to stable coins, to brokerage to settlement. Like they have their fingers in all different pies. And I think that's by design, right? I think Brad Garlinghouse said recently, they processed, I think it might have been 16 billion worth of transactions, but most of that wasn't even on the blockchain, right? So they've got their hands in the traditional finance world, but no doubt they're looking to then merge that on chain, onto the XRP ledger and everything that else they're building. So yeah, we've got the relationship with them now, which is great. And if it makes sense for us to build more stuff on their tech stack and to do more things together, we'll do that because ultimately we're trying to build things that our clients want. Now, this is one where it's like, oh well, you know, on the front facing end of it, a lot of clients don't realize that they're actually using Ledger. And so that's when we had a lot of questions around, well, what actually are the material changes for me? Right now, it's just that if you want to on ramp or off ramp, it is a lot more quicker and a lot more seamless, a lot more cost effective to do it with Calvin Brown than anyone else. And part of that reason is because we're starting to use Ripple's infrastructure for some of that. And so that's more TradFi world stuff. But no doubt in the future, there may be opportunities to build stuff more specific to their investments with us and that nature.
Okay. Very, very interesting. Now it's starting to get more interesting because you guys are actually hooked up with Ripple now. Damn, that's a big deal. Um, Congratulations on that. Let me see about any kind of questions here. Uh, any update on New York? Still working on it?
Yeah, look, New York, as I've said a number of times, New York's just not going to be, a quick, seamless onboarding experience where we'll be able to start accepting clients again. This is a multi-year licensing process. Unfortunately, this is just the way it is with New York, you know, unless they change a lot in relation to how they do their licensing and the regulatory framework in New York. It's just going to be one of those things that we're in the process of doing, but I'm not going to have an update 2 weeks from now. I'm not going to have an update 2 months from now. This will be a multi-year thing, and it's just one of those things when it comes to working with different regulatory bodies, especially ones that are very restrictive like New York. So unfortunately, no major update there.
Everybody, don't hold your breath. This could take a couple of years, all right? Any up? Let's see. Kalen Brown always ahead of the pack. Let's see here. Here's from James. James said, I've been very satisfied with Caleb Brown. It's nice to have a real person helping you. Thanks. Next one. I didn't see Canton Coin and Rise on Kalen Brown. Are they coming?
So Canton Coin's live, so you can buy, sell, swap, and even most importantly, custody your Canton with Caleb and Brown. So have another look. You can definitely buy some Canton coin if you'd like. Rise, we've spoken about a number of times. It's one that our team is very much aware of. It's just not a possibility for us to list it at this stage, but we are actively looking at it to see if anything changes. And the other major announcement, I'm sure Hulk's mentioned it, but we now list Sealcoin. And so I know that's one that was being asked every show that I did, probably for the best part of 6 months. And so, look, Sealcoin's something that, it's gone live now. The liquidity behind it's great. We can custody it, which is the most important thing in cold storage. And so, for those people that wanted to get some exposure to Sealcoin, you can now do that with Caleb and Brown. And yeah, highly recommend you do that.
Seal coin. Yeah, with we had a little fun with the Rise token. I bought 1 million for about 3,200 bucks and probably got up to about $25,000. And I was like, nice. Now I held it completely. I didn't want to sell half and then when it dips, then go buy it back and get more. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but some people cashed out and made 10 or 15 grand off that coin. Um, I could have cleared $20,000 in profit. I'm in this for like the long term, and I don't really care what my profit buy and sell. I'm a different kind of investor, and each person has their own thing that they do. We got another good one too. It was Handle. That's one you guys should look into. HANDL. I'm telling you, Jim, what that one is. Are you familiar with it?
No, explain it to
Okay,
me. I'm just gonna have a look at it
this
now.
one, this one's great. It went up like 1,200%. I think it's still up. Guys that put in 2 grand, some of them are making 7,000 bucks on it or whatever. Handle is brilliant. I go to a swap meet, I go to a flea market, whatever you call it, or I go to a car dealership, whatever it is. You go wherever you want, and you want to buy something, and they say, "Okay, give me your handle." So right now, Handle is hooked up with Ripple, actually MoonPay, a couple Ripple partners. So that's how it moves money so fast. And you can look up, I think it's handle.com or handle.org or whatever the hell it is. Handle, you ask someone, there's about four different, I think it's TikTok and then fucking Indeed or whatever. The name that you have, your handle, that's who you send the money to. So let's say you go somewhere to a office or there's a cash register, but you don't want that person to know your phone number. Like most of the time, you got to give somebody what? Your bank account. You send it to my bank account. Here's my name. Here's my phone number. What if I don't want to give any of that to somebody? What if I want it to be anonymous? I go to a store, I go to pay for something, and I ask them, what is your, or someone's going to pay me. Let's say I'm selling stuff at the swap meet, and on the weekend, I don't want someone to know my phone number. I don't even want them to know my name. What I would do is you give them the handle, so I could say at the Crypto Hulk, and they type that in, and bam, they send me money. That's going to be the future because now I don't have to remember a country code. I don't have to remember a phone number, a person's last name, a last four of their so I don't have to know nothing except their handle. And it's already, like I said, with a couple big Ripple partners. And that's a crypto that I think in the future will have a great use case because it's so simple. I could be traveling in Italy and want to pick up or I want to pay for a meal at a restaurant. I could just give them my handle, type it in the thing, and so that's a crypto that I found about a week or two ago, and it looks pretty good. I want you guys to
Yeah,
look into that
I
one
think
because
that's interesting. Yeah, I think any project that's looking to make ease of payment between individuals a better like make it better a better process. I think they're always pretty interesting to me as well. I'm pretty sick of having to go through my bank and do bank transfers to friends. But even more importantly, like if you're doing things through merchants or I think looking at Handle, it's trying to target like social media creators as well. So yeah, interesting. I'll have a look into it, see if it's something we could potentially list. Yeah, it hasn't been live for too long as well. So yeah,
Right.
we'll have a look at this one as well. And if anyone's got any other assets they'd like us to have a look through, please let me know. Looks like we've got quite a few questions coming through, so we might answer some of these ones.
Is Kalen Brown gonna carry Bank Social?
I don't know about Bank Social. I need to look into that one as well. So leave that with me. Again, it depends on a range of factors for us. Bank Social BSL.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, to be honest, probably not this one. It doesn't look like there's a lot of trading volume with it, and it doesn't look like it's listed really anywhere.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure where Bank Social. It hasn't got a lot of volume going through it right now. So not at this stage, but it'll be one that we'll keep an eye on. But yeah, it looks like it doesn't look like it's really traded anywhere outside of some very, random decentralized exchanges. So probably not at this stage. And I'd be cautious if you're investing in this asset. It's going to probably have a lot of slippage when you buy and sell through it. So just be careful, Stephen, on that one. Someone mentioned, can we join from Connecticut? I do believe you can sign up from Connecticut. So I would need to confirm that RCC, but let me have a look into that one for you in terms of any other state outside New York, you should be fine. But I don't know. Yeah, I'll need to look into that. Uh, a question is the Clarity Act going to trigger an upswing, Brianna? I think that's a really good question and probably something that is good to chat about around where we're at in the market right now. Obviously, we've been in a bit of a downward trend over the last week and a half, 2.5 weeks. So Bitcoin retraced from about 62,063 down to around 58 and a half. I thinking maybe even hit 58. That's recovered a little bit now. It's back over 60. Ethereum had a really strong evening overnight. And so we're in this just weird phase right now where we're pretty sideways. There's not a lot of volatility. And there's not necessarily a lot to maybe look forward to outside of what I would say is the Clarity Act. And so, look, I think the Clarity Act is becoming probably, I would say, less and less likely that it's going to get passed as the days go, just because there's only so many days left of the Senate sitting and being able to make a ruling on it. But there's no doubt that if the Clarity Act passes, I think that'll be really positive long term for the industry, but we may see a short little uptick in the market from it. Certainly, I wouldn't expect you to plan around it because we don't really know when it will go live. But there's no doubt that there's just a lot of uncertainty right now in the market with geopolitical tensions in Iran, the US, recession fears to the point where we're not quite sure what the federal chair will do. We've also just got everyone's calling this current share market a bubble with overvalued AI stocks and people flowing all their money into more speculative bets like SpaceX as compared to say crypto. And so we're just in a very weird time right now with the market. But I do think if you're someone that hasn't maybe entered into the market at this point in time and you haven't been in the crypto space for long, I actually think this is a really good entry point. So if you're someone that's new to crypto, obviously do your research, do your due diligence. We can obviously help with that. But I think these are some pretty good buying opportunities for certain assets, just given that, it was only 9, 10 months ago that Bitcoin was well over double its price than what it is right now, including a lot of altcoins as well. So we have bottomed out quite a lot. That doesn't mean we won't go lower. We can always go lower, but I do think we're at an interesting buy opportunity for a lot of people, especially if you're still quite new to this space. So, yeah, a long-winded answer to essentially say I think the Clarity Act will help, but we don't really have any confirmation of whether it will pass. And I think as the days go, we're probably more skeptical that it'll get passed in the short term versus the long term.
Yeah, I started everybody a Patreon channel. So I kind of expanded a little bit, Jim. I'm on what they call Patreon. And that was my first show was this morning. And I'm going to start trying on that platform a little bit to grow my channel out. What I've noticed on YouTube is a lot of censorship and just they do a lot of stuff, man. It's just not cool. So I'm gonna have an additional channel and just see how that goes. And today was our first show. Here's a question here. Did Ripple ask for exclusivity? Could Kalen Brown also partner with XLM? Does this Ripple partnership change the $500 minimum purchase on Caleb and Brown?
Yeah, so Ripple didn't ask for exclusivity. Naturally, Ripple is working with a whole range of different businesses and institutions, and we're exactly the same, right? In terms of how we source liquidity, how we do custody. Um, Ripple came to us with a particular problem that they thought that they could solve for us. Um, Through the conversations we had with them, we actually found that we had a completely different pain point to what they thought, and that they hadn't actually built something specific to this. And so they built a custom solution based on our particular pain point, which they're really helping solve for us. And part of that is then getting a better understanding of what else they could provide for us. And so um, the $500 minimum remains, and that's not so much to do with Ripple. It's more so to do with our actual business and how we operate, right? We are, at the end of the day, not an exchange. We don't automate things. So obviously we have automation within our business, but the main mantra of our business is a personalized service with real people that are executing trades, that are helping you through your portfolio. And so naturally through that, that requires us to have a bit more of I guess, I wouldn't say a barrier to entry, because I don't think $500 is a barrier to entry, but things just cost more for us to operate. And so we do have a minimum trade size of 500 USD. And honestly, the reason for that is that any trade below that it's a loss making exercise for us. And so we think 500 USD minimum is actually pretty reasonable. But that's really more to do with our business and how we operate and the brokerage service that we provide, instead of, I guess, Ripple being able to provide cost efficiencies. It's more so cost efficiencies that have been brought on to the client when it comes to their withdrawals. You guys don't get you guys don't charge for that in the back end, but it's more so to do with how do we then process larger batches at one period of time, to make sure that you're getting your money into your bank account quicker than what you were before. So hopefully that answers that question.
Um, Caleb Brown, Michael Stovisky always handles my investment very fast and easy.
Yeah, Stojanovsky. Yeah, Michael's one of our top brokers, Bruce, and great to hear you have a good relationship with him. So I'll pass on that feedback.
Carplifier loves Caleb and Brown. Marky G says, Jim, since Caleb Brown is partnered with Ripple, does that mean Hulk is also partnered with Ripple?
I mean, technically, yeah. I don't know if
Yep.
Hulk wants to be partnered with Ripple. He's his own man. He's a solo
Yeah.
operator, Hulk. So we'll let him
Solo
do his own
operator.
thing.
Don't so see Jim. Oh, okay. Liquid Mercury. Put this on your list. It's MERC. The ticker is MERC. It's called Liquid Mercury. What it basically does, it's an on and off ramp for Canton. The T-Rise crypto is the one that tokenizes for Canton. Canton is the one with the relationship with the DTCC. So Canton and the DTCC have this very tight relationship. Very soon, the DTCC is going to start tokenizing the Russell 1000, and Canton, their agent that does for Canton is T-Rise. Now, where Liquid Mercury fits in is they're like an on-ramp, off-ramp for Canton to do business. So if you guys could look into that one, it's still a baby crypto. I know the answer is going to be they can't buy it right now, but that's going to be one you guys are probably going to want to put on your list just to really look at.
Yeah, we'll certainly add this one to the watch list as well, along with all the other ones that you guys have mentioned. So we'll add this one to the list. Just looking at it now, yeah, it'll be likely too small. But again, a lot of these projects develop over time. Like as you said, it's within the Canton network. Well, as Canton continues to grow, the assets and the chains that use this token will continue to increase. So it's even if it's a no today, it doesn't mean we won't be able to list it in the future. So I'll add this one to the watch list as well.
Somebody asked, okay, so here's how it works. The $500, explain to people that are brand new, like if you want to make a trade on Kalen Brown, it's got to be 500 bucks, and that's one crypto. You can't put like three cryptos in there as long as the total's 500. Just briefly explain that.
Yeah, so the value of the trade, whether it's you're buying something, whether you're swapping between one asset to another, or whether you're selling back into, say, US dollars, the value of the trade needs to be over 500 USD. And so, as I mentioned before, that's just like a rule we have within our business and our brokerage. Now, if you're someone that's completely new and you just want to test the service, we will allow for like a smaller test transaction just for you to do it. But if you're sort of a regular everyday client, that's the amount. It's 500 USD, and so that's something that we require as a business, and for you to use our brokerage.
Okay. Somebody asked a question: is Hecto on the horizon now that Caleb Brown has Canton? That's going to be down the road. Hecto's a dinky. Okay, you guys, these little tiny ass cryptos, Caleb Brown's not going to be carrying this shit until they're actually got more liquidity and they're used. So I'm not going to even get into Hecto. Okay, all these little micro cap shit we do, they if it's got a couple zeros, they probably aren't going to be fucking with it. All right, just so don't hold your breath. If I feel something is grown, like a T Rise has a great opportunity faster than any of these other cryptos and shit. So that's why with the seal coin, like when that shit is hard to get, they ain't see Caleb Brown has to pay. Jim, explain something. When something has really shitty liquidity, you guys really get soaked with a big bill buying and selling and slip. See, Caleb Brown pays all the slippage costs, not me and you. Jim, explain that real quick.
Yeah, it's not even. I mean, it is a cost incurred by us, obviously, but it's more so just the difficulty for clients that have large amounts for us to actually source liquidity at size. Because as you can imagine, if someone buys, I don't know what, like Hecto as an example. I don't know anything about Hecto, but let's just say there's one of you that has a really large amount of it. For you, that may be easy for us to process. In terms of, say, you wanted to sell out of, I don't know, 50K worth of Hecto. Well, there's not that many Hecto coins in the market in terms of there's not many buyers to sell that Hecto into. And so for you, yes, there's slippage on it, which we incur a fee on, but it's more so the value that you'll get at the end of it in terms of how much we can sell it into the market for you. You'll actually move the market price of Hecto in this example. Again, I don't know anything about Hecto. I'm just using this as an example. So it means that if you sold a really large batch of an asset that you have that doesn't have a lot of liquidity and is a small market cap, the value that you thought you get versus the value that you'll actually get is far different. And so for us, that's one client. And then if you think about us as a brokerage, think if there's 100 of you trying to do that one trade, it's just not feasible. And it's not something that we'd be able to do quickly. And that's where then we'd have many clients come out and say, well, why is this trade taking so long? It's because there's just not a lot of demand in the market for it. And there's not a lot of liquidity for us to source it for you as well. And so all of these are factors in terms of, especially these micro token assets. It's just not feasible for us to list these. And honestly, I know that it's a speculative bet and a lot of people understand that. Just be very careful with these assets because these are the ones that can go to zero almost instantly because they're so new, because they're so small. Yes, they may have an interesting use case and they may have legs, some of them, but a lot of the time they're going to be super volatile. And in most instances, if you're buying them off a decentralized exchange, when you go to sell, you'll incur significant slippage to sell. And what you thought the value of your Hexo was and what you actually end up getting are two very different values. And so just be very conscious with those smaller micro token assets just as a whole. I used to day trade a lot and used to be in this space and still am obviously to some extent, but it's fraught with risk and you just got to be aware of whatever you're purchasing when it comes to these smaller market cap assets. There's every chance you could lose your entire investment. That's just a risk you have to be aware of when you do this.
Right. So, you guys, we go over some cryptos that are bigger in size, and we also go over tiny ones. And just like Jim was saying, we get a T Rise. It's 3,200 bucks for a million. A week later, it's worth 25,000. Okay. But then, I was gonna sell. Let's say I was gonna sell out. MetaMask was gonna charge me like 2,000 bucks in slippage to get rid of it. So it's kind of like Now, Caleb Brown doesn't charge you like $2,000 to get rid of it. If I had a crypto at Caleb Brown and I wanted to sell it, they're not going to charge me $2,000. You know who has to eat that cost? Caleb Brown. So it's kind of like, and then you're not, like Jim said, when you go to sell off that shit, it's you're not going to get your 25,000 because you got all these costs and shit like that. And then you start moving a market when you sell off, you start dumping a market. And so that's why I just kept my Rise token, because like I know one day that shit's gonna be worth more than 25,000 bucks. It's gonna be worth like 300,000 dollars. So what we want to do is never invest more than you can afford to lose. I put 3,200 bucks into Rise, but I did it slowly over probably a 3 month period. So, and then it went up, and I had an option: sell out, take a lot of impact fees, and maybe walk away with 15 to 20 grand, maybe. But what if that? So it's just like that, you guys. Like, we're dealing with this little volatile cryptos. One of these days, these cryptos ends up, they're probably going to be, most of them are going to be good crypto. So, but Caleb Brown's not dealing with this crap that's super high one day and down the next. They're not dealing with that. Okay. So stop asking about all this little tiny crypto stuff. All right. Let's see here. Jim definitely needs a millionaires club. What? Stevie ZBCN. Hey, Jim, that's the guy that has like a ton of Zebek. This dude right here. Jim definitely needs a millionaires club membership. LOL. Okay. Well, I got this little thing called the Crypto Hulk Millionaires Membership. So they get to call me. They can say, Crypto Hulk, what'd you spend any money on this month? So I tell them like what cryptos I bought or whatever. Not how much, but just I tell them like this month was well, I let that Canton. So this month I spent all my crypto allowance on Canton. And every month I'll tell them which one it was for whatever reason. And if they want to know, some people just want to know. They're like, okay, Crypto Hawk, for the whole month you talked about 10 cryptos. What did you buy? And then I'm like, well, this is the one I got. Saucer swap, deleted my wallet. Don't leave anything on there. See, the big question, what are you saying? The big question, can Caleb Brown complete with, say, can they compete with a popular fiduciary who introduces a good interest rate for storing crypto? Why is Caleb Brown not protecting itself from losing clients by paying?
Yeah, don't really understand the last part of that sentence around losing clients by paying. It's not necessarily a choice on our end to not pay interest, as an example, on crypto itself. When you say interest, that's a very traditional finance term, right? And so there's no real such thing as interest on crypto. Now you can stake your crypto, or you could lend it out and earn a yield that way. And that's something that we're looking into in terms of, do we offer that? But I want to stress that any asset that you're earning some sort of yield on, that's not being safely stored in cold storage in almost every instance. That's been lent out into the market. That's been staked into a smart contract. So there's counterparty risk, there's smart contract risk. And so the interest or the yield that you're referring to is added risk in terms of losing that underlying asset. And that's just been something as a business that we haven't been interested in. We've been all about wealth preservation for our clients and making sure that they have a safe place that they can hold their assets that, quite frankly, they think are going to appreciate in value anyway, to the point where they don't need to earn an extra 2, 3, 4% on top of it. And so, look, there's no doubt that more players are coming into this space in a traditional finance world. I don't know if many of them are going to be able to custody crypto assets, digital assets, the same way that a brokerage like us has been able to and has built in our custody solution over the years. You have to remember that these are banks that operate in a very different way. If you're talking about fiduciaries, they have very different laws. They're able to use the money that comes in to lend out that money as mortgages to other businesses. They don't have to have the assets held on chain, which again has a lot more risks associated with it that a lot of these fiduciaries don't have built in. And so, look, there's no doubt, and we've experienced it, that there's a lot more competitors in this space. And it's not like we're not wanting to build this for our clients. It's more so, what do we prioritize? Do we prioritize the 3 or 4% that has a lot more risk associated with it and a lot more uncertainty for our clients? Or do we focus on the thing that matters, which is preserving these assets, making sure that they're protected, ensuring that we're in the right markets, like as an example, the UK, to continue to provide our brokerage service within it? Does that mean that we won't offer some sort of yield in the future? No, we are looking into this stuff, but it's not as simple as, hey, here's a yield and that's it. We have to do our due diligence on how we build it. How do we build something that doesn't compromise our custody solution? And then at the end of the day, like, you can earn a yields on Ethereum and Solana. That's very easy. It's natively staked. The chain allows you to do that. An asset like XRP, the way the blockchain works on the XRP ledger, you can't stake your XRP. It's not how the asset was built. It's not how the blockchain for XRP was built. And so anyone that's offering you a yield on XRP, they're most likely taking your XRP and then lending that out to a third party, getting a rate back, and then giving you a percentage of that rate. So what I'm trying to emphasize here is that every asset, in terms of how you'd earn a yield, is going to be very different from the next. And so it's not like we can just implement something that is going to be pretty cookie cutter and a boiler template for every single asset. It's very specific in terms of how you can earn the yield on particular assets. And so, look, we're looking into all of that stuff. It's not like we don't want to provide that opportunity for our clients. But again, I guess, and I don't know the guy's name that answered this question, don't look at it as a way in which, oh, this company's not going to pay me my interest. If someone's offering you interest, they're earning interest on that as well. And they're taking probably the majority of the interest and giving you a small amount of it. So don't think it's like as if we're not giving you value. In every instance, if you're getting earned yields, the company that's offering that yield is also taking revenue from that asset as well. So again, just something to think about when it comes to how businesses operate and how you're actually getting that interest. In all instances, the business itself that's giving you the interest is also earning interest on it as well.
So here's my dilemma. Number one, I don't have much crypto at all. I got like well under 100. We're talking, it's not, I don't have as much. People think, oh, you must have millions. No, I don't. Okay, the little tiny bit that I got, like, what the fuck am I gonna do with 4% or whatever? Like, it doesn't, I can't do shit with that. Okay. Now, fast forward 1, 2, 3 years when I got 20, 30 million. Now that's when Crypto Hulk is looking into, okay, I mean, there's nobody on this channel that has anywhere near any amount of crypto where making interest is going to do shit for me. Okay, unless you have at least 10 million bucks in crypto, okay, now we can probably start working with that. But if you don't even, most of you guys probably got 20 to 40 grand. Most of the people that I talk to got 20 to 40,000 in crypto. That's it. And they can do shit for me. 4%, what is it, like 4,000 a year or 2,000 a year? Not even that. 10 be 4,000, that'd be like 1,500 bucks a year or 2,000. That's not gonna do shit for me. Now, on top of that, I could lose my shit for what? 1,500 a year, 2,000 bucks a year. I could potentially lose it. That's fucking stupid. So let's go on to the next question. Let's see. Well, here's a real serious question. Jim, have you met Monica from Ripple? And I'm not going to repeat the rest of the question. So did you see all the David Schwartz and all that stuff or what?
No, I haven't met Monica. So I have seen David Schwartz a few times at those Vegas XRP events, but I haven't spoken to him. When I say we met Ripple, as you can imagine, Ripple's a multinational business, right? So we met their head of APAC, which is their head of Australia and Asia Pacific area. As you can imagine, you've got like Brad and Monica at the top, and then they've got heads of and directors of each geographic location, right? And so
Yeah.
when you meet with Ripple, you're not meeting, necessarily the number one of the one, but you're meeting, pretty senior people regardless. And so, no, I haven't met Monica. Yeah, probably unprofessional for me to answer the next part of that question. So I'll leave the rest of that question alone.
I think
So
it was
yeah.
more of a joke question. I mean, the first part was, well, anyway, let's move on. Somebody's probably over there smoking and drinking. So, Sean is the best broker. So John Follett is saying that Sean is the best broker. What about you, Jim? How do you compare to Sean's work?
Well, I'm not a broker, so I can't really compete when it comes to the brokers. I certainly think I could be a broker, but no, I much prefer the job that I do. To be honest, I get to chat to great communities and work with great people like Hulk, and so Sean's a good one. I mean, for anyone that's not aware, Sean's actually Crypto Hulk's broker as well. So yeah, Sean looks after a lot of our clients and has been around the business honestly for the best part of 5 years. So he's super knowledgeable. And that's the key thing with all of our brokers. If, anyone on this call maybe hasn't signed up and worked with us, is that you're getting a genuine, smart, expert opinion from our brokers that have been in this cryptocurrency landscape, both in their, occupation, but even more importantly, like all of our brokers have been investors in this asset class and have been in the trenches like everyone else here for a really long period of time. And so you're getting someone that can genuinely help you throughout your experience and help you with your portfolio. So yeah, Sean's a good one. Michael's great. We've got a lot of great guys here in the company that provide a lot of value for our clients every day.
A lot of part what it is Kayla Brown offers a service that you just can't really get. I mean, I don't know how many brokers out there, Jim, like take a guess percentage wise, not numbers, but just 1%, 5, 10. What percent of institutions or businesses that offer crypto give you a broker without charge? Like, how many would you guess? Like, what percent?
Oh, it'd be less than 1%. There's very few brokerages in the entire cryptocurrency landscape, especially in the US market. We've had a few copycats come up and pop up here in Australia, but nowhere near our size and capacity. And so, yeah, honestly, I know this might sound biased. I actually don't know if there's a competitor for the exact kind of service we offer within the US. And I know that, look, unfortunately, when we offboard some of these other jurisdictions, the common question is, well, where can I find this same service in Europe, or who can I use in Canada that provides the service? And genuinely, we don't have other alternatives. And that's always the worst part when we leave these countries, is that we don't know of any other business that does this at the scale we do it at. So, yeah, obviously we're biased, but like if you do a market research of the landscape, I'm telling you, there's not any other business that provides this kind of level of service.
You guys, I want you to understand that that's another reason why I decided to be partner up with Kalen Brown, because I've dealt with the dumb shit customer service at places, and it's just I'm tired of it. Okay, I want to be able to pick up a damn phone, call my broker up, talk to him. I've got a problem with such. These other places, you got these bots and shit. I'm not trying to deal with a fucking bot, okay? The AI dumb shit, I'm not trying to deal with that. I'm trying to make a call to a human being at Kalen Brown, and they pick up the damn phone. It's that simple. There's no other company. Maybe unless you have a net worth of like $50 million or some shit like that, you could probably find somebody to pick up the phone. What you guys have, all of us brokies, is a company that's set up for like rich people. And you need to understand, you're not going to get all this service and buy $50 worth of shit. Like, you got to get out of that brokey mindset, okay? You've got a multi-billion dollar, they're moving multi-billions, and it's like you're lucky just to be able to be a customer. Go somewhere else and find this right now. Go somewhere else and find this. Tell me how much it costs. Okay. The answer is you're not going to be able to find a place. So they have certain rules set up. I am A-OK with everything. If you don't like it, go to like a Coinbase where you're all by yourself. Like, that's not what I'm trying to do. So when all the market goes to shit like it did in October, Kalen Brown was still able to facilitate trades. Not a problem. How was that MetaMask working? How was all the other wallets? How was Uniswap working? How was Coinbase? Nobody was working except Kalen Brown was still there, no problemo. So with
Yeah, and
that,
like, look, I can speak from personal experience there as well, and I'm happy to name the exchange specifically because I've been big supporters of them and have publicly praised them for so long. And they were the first exchange I ever used. But I had a bit of crypto left on Coinbase recently. Some stuff happened to it. I was trying to get in contact with someone, not in their customer support team, but their escalation research team, just to look into what happened for me. And I'm not joking. I had to reach out 4 times over the space of 3 months to finally get someone to reach back out to me. I kept getting the same customer support query that would start as an AI bot. I had to tell the AI bot I wanted to speak to a person. I then had to wait 10 minutes for a person to come into the chat. The person had no context of the problem that I'd already explained 3 or 4 times previously. And so I've been through it personally, and it was crazy going through it that I was just like, I can't believe, like, I'm so happy that our business exists and that people can go through us for this stuff because and after that I moved all my stuff off and I'll never use Coinbase ever again, right? I was very rarely using it anyway. But I just had some money still left there that I kept there. And after that, I'll never use Coinbase again. And so look, I hope people aren't still using these exchanges when you have a service like Hale and Brown available to you, where you'll actually get a human being on the other end that is smart, is knowledgeable, and can help you. And so again, I'd always recommend, and we still have a lot of people, I'm still taking calls from community members that hold all their assets on these exchanges. I would really recommend not doing that for both the customer service perspective, but also just the fact that, as Hulk said, when we have things like the October 10 crash of last year, you can't even log into your account, which means you can't access your assets. And so I do think having your assets either in a cold wallet or with Calvin Brown are your two best options. And so if you're still holding stuff on Coinbase or these other exchanges, I would really recommend moving them, just because of all the issues that we've listed.
Somebody says here, I trust Capital. Now, this is their opinion. I trust Capital is okay, but they won't let you transfer crypto. What do you know anything about that?
So yeah, look, from my understanding, and again, I don't always want to talk about other businesses, but from my understanding with I Trust Capital, if you move your crypto into their solution, for whatever reason, then when it comes time to exit that crypto out of it, you can't actually transfer the crypto in kind. So let's just say Hulk moves XRP into his account. If he then wants to transfer or withdraw that XRP back into, say, his own wallet, he actually has to sell that XRP into US dollars and then move US dollars or USDC out. And so that forces a tax event, which I know that a lot of people haven't been too happy with when they've used the service. Now, from my understanding, at least from what I've heard, that maybe has changed as of recently, that they've allowed for withdrawals in kind. But again, I don't know. I don't work at I Trust Capital, so you'd have to ask them. But again, I think it's something that before using their service, if you want to, I'd want to get confirmation on that because, yeah, you'd be forced into a tax event in that scenario if you were just looking to withdraw from their platform. And so probably best to do some research if you're thinking of using their service.
Now, does I Trust Capital have like a broker you can call?
No, no. From my understanding, they do 401ks and IRAs. That's something that we are hoping to offer in the future. So hopefully, we'll be able to offer that. But from my understanding, they help with that side of things. But you don't get a dedicated, expert broker to help you in your journey there.
Not even close to Caleb and Brown. All right. Last question time. We got about 1 or 2 minutes left. I'm going to spend 1 to 2 minutes looking for a question, and we're going to call it a wrap.
Yeah, there's still quite a few coming through. I'm happy to answer any more. So I'll answer this one. Jim, how long does it usually take for a client asset transfer from a Caleb Brown personal account to a new LLC account with Caleb Brown? It's a pretty quick process, Snafu. It's not something that we actually used to do. So it's something that you'll have to request to do through your broker. Normally, in that scenario, we don't allow for cross-account transfers, if that makes sense. And so in the past, you would have had to withdraw those assets back to your bank. Withdraw those assets back to a wallet outside of Calvin Brown and then move them back into your LLC Calvin Brown account. But that process may have changed. I know that our compliance team have worked through a solution through that. So if you're looking to do that in terms of transferring from your individual to your LLC, ask your broker and see whether that can be possible through them. But we're just moving assets around, so it shouldn't take too long. We just have a range of compliance considerations and AML considerations when it comes to it.
Whoa. Okay, that's awesome. All right. I think we're done. I'm going to
Perfect.
tell everybody to thank you for showing up. We had a good little time here. I am now on Patreon, probably 4 or 5 days a week, and on YouTube the other days. And we're trying to grow the channel because the more people that grow the channel, they keep buying more crypto. So that'll do it for me. Jim, of course, thanks again for answering these questions and having a great brokerage that we all love that brokerage, Caleb and Brown. So with that, we'll see you maybe in a couple weeks, 2 to 3 weeks from today, and that'll be it.
Easy. Thanks, guys. Have a good weekend.
Bye, everybody. Okay, I think that is it.
Yep. Perfect. Yeah, it's done.